get out here and work a little bit on the bag. Kind of a cold day today for being spring. Feels like winter. Anyway, there are some people that do Wing Chun, they kind of critique having a big old round bag like this, but they're used to flat wall bags, and the problem with the wall bag is, yeah, you can punch it and you can do palms, and that's about it, right? Well, when a bag is this thick and rounded, and they're about 50 pounds each, full of like the playground sand. Then what it is they get real solid at the bottom from the weight of the sand, and then that's what we punch. Okay, but the idea of it being rounded is it's more like the human torso. And when we use our other Wing Chun tools, the other arm formations and that, in Wing Chun we use a lot of forearm, and not maybe so much other martial arts. They kind of use the end of the hand, and they'll change the end of the hand into like different tools, but it's almost always the same kind of punch. Well, with Wing Chun, it's different angles of the forearm that we use. Okay, so that's called using structure, and so we actually want to kind of hit our forearm so it's equally in that angle, and so then a rounded bag makes more sense, and it's much more like the human torso anyway. And so we have wing arm, which is our bong sao. We have tan sao here, and then that kind of goes sideways because tan sao kind of takes incoming force and it kind of spreads it to the side, right? So we have tan sao, and you see, and I can make contact along that whole edge of my forearm on this rounded bag, and I can keep that angle of the tan sao, which traps a hand, with this round bag, see? And so it's almost the same as our silam tao angle on the sandbag, because we have the lower, the gan sao, and then the higher tan sao, see? And we can kind of practice both, the high and the low, medium to low strikes, like our lower bong sao takes care of kicks and low punches. That can be practiced on the lower bag. One thing that I really like about this two-bag setup is I can actually do a pak, a slapping hand, a pak sao, and I can bring it down to a gum sao, which is a jamming hand. Bam! In one movement, which is like our pak sao punch, or pak da. Pak da, da means strike, pak da movement. And then you get used to collapsing the opponent's guard arm and jamming it down as we're punching and holding it. See? And then going for that, we want timing of 1. Because other martial arts, they kind of go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? Wing Chun's a little different. It will use both arms instead of one. Most martial arts, they only have power in one arm at a time. Okay. Wing Chun tries to keep the power in both arms at the same time. Whether it's a tan da, or a bu da, or a pak da, right? And so in our feeding, we work on that. It's called timing of 1, which means we're there, and then in 1, we're doing the defensive and the attack at the same time in one movement. And quite often, even if your opponent has their guard up and they're kind of ready for you, they can't handle that timing of 1 with both hands. Usually 1 gets in. So that's why we work on that 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? And not just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Because that allows your opponent to get used to your rhythm and to kind of know, okay, this one's coming, this one's receding, this one's receding, this one's coming. Well, in Wing Chun, both coming, right? So, and even whether it's defensive, sometimes one is still a strike, and one might be defensive, one is still a strike. Double gan sao or quan sao is bong, lower bong, and tan. So we do these movements also on the wooden dummy. But again, for bag training, we want to develop that timing of one. We want to develop our power with our stance and this angle. It's a different kind of power than karate and Shaolin. They're kind of doing this different kind of shoulder power, okay? Where Wing Chun is doing this triangle structure power. So it's a different kind of power that we develop in Wing Chun. And then of course, out here, this is kind of the longer distance in the Wing Chun. Usually we can kick and we can punch at that same distance. Right, and as we move in, then it changes to more forearms and elbows. So, in fact, really close, it's our elbows and shifting. And then as we move back out, then it's our longer tools that we use. And we can punch with the front hand here or the back hand. And the reason why we do this chain punch is the one hand that's leaving is also blocking any punch coming up at the same time. So it's not just a round punch like this where we're just punching, but one is punching and then pulling down any other attack that's coming in underneath. So that only leaves this area up here for somebody to attack us, because this is all closed. So when something comes up, we usually will make contact and check it, but we're moving forward, we're moving in. And most people, when they're attacking you, they want you to stay right there so they can come around and hit you. And usually it's people that are afraid to get hit, and so they're back here, you know, and they're wanting to throw punches and evade. And so that's why these big hooks and that work on those people. Well, if you're moving in, that hook doesn't work very well because it ends up kind of going behind as we move in. So if we're not just moving in here, but we're moving in to do forearms and elbows too, even closer, right? Kind of on the inside of that hook that would be coming, we come right in. Okay, so anyway, on the bag, what I do is I start out here, more of a long distance. I enter, right, and then as I get closer, I start using the other Wing Chun tools. And then when I get real close, if I get pressed, it's all elbows, forearms, and then back out here to the long range, right? So then that's basically how we train on the bag. My teacher, Eddie, my Sifu, he would have us develop power real close from right here. So if you can develop power from right here, then it's real easy to have more power right here. And this is kind of our wooden dummy range where we want to be, right? Longer range is out here, but we really don't want to extend. We want to move in with the body and be right there. And a lot of people, they kind of complain about Wing Chun. Well, it's only in short range. Well, for somebody to hit me, they have to put their hand on me and their power into me. Even if they're moving away, they still have to be a certain range, right? And when they step into that range, I just scoot in a little bit further, and now I'm right in the range I want to be. So every time they have to hit me, they have to plant and come in, and I can slide in. In the speed of one punch, I can slide in. So then that's usually when they're backtracking and they're like, oh, I need to get away from this guy. And then with Wing Chun, we pursue, we stay on them. Okay? So again, our punches, this is kind of our optimal range, wooden dummy range. And in this range, we can use forearms, we can use punches, we can use elbows. It's kind of at the farthest range for the elbow. And we can basically do all of our techniques in Wing Chun here. And we even have a type of uppercut that we use in Wing Chun, and kind of an angle punch that comes this way, and an uppercut that comes close to the body, right? You don't really see those too often, but those are in our sets in Wing Chun. But mainly it's a punch kind of going downward, but we do have a punch that can shoot up, right here. So, you know, we kind of practice these different punches. And our forearms. And so it's not just with our shoulder and the forearm like Thai boxing, but it's making the structure and turning the body. Turning the body. So the structure's solid, and then our body powers that. And then again, a lot of it's elbow power and not shoulder, but elbow, because the elbow is sinking and it's also protecting our center. And Eddie would always have us, my Sifu, he would always have us punch and breathe, punch and breathe, punch and breathe. And what that does is it relaxes the power so it sinks into the opponent or the bag. Because if you're doing a lot of little punches real fast, you're pulling that power back before you can really let it sink and drop in, right? And so then that's where that relaxed power comes from. And then also with the moving of the body, see, that Wing Chun is famous for, that relaxed power. So even though it's quick, it's still kept heavy and relaxed. Okay, just a little bit on the back today. Thanks for joining me.